things that you must deliberate upon, things that you must put in place. And it's also applicable to businesses that are on, but you are onboarding some new products, you're onboarding some new activities. How do you go about incorporating all these new events into your reconciliation system? So that's exactly what we want to quickly consider this afternoon, the next 1 hour or thereabout. And to do justice to this particular topic, I have some gentlemen here. I have Lawrence with me, okay? Lawrence Olanrewaju, who's a seasoned banker and has about 22 years experience in the industry, works in internal control, transactions, reconciliation division itself, treasury, trade operations, investments, income assurance, cash management, and all whatnot. Of course, it's a pioneer head of Central Reconciliation Team in UBA, and very versatile in industry, and currently the group head internal control at Greenwich Merchant Bank. Lawrence Olanrewaju, I want to welcome you to this particular program. I want to say hi to everyone.
Thank you very much, Philip. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to the seminar.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. And then the second discussant is our dear friend, Tayo Akeju, of course, seasoned banker, as usual, very, very versatile. And of course, when talking about reconciliation prowess, so to speak, has spanned through so many banks: Stanbic Bank, Access Bank, Union Bank, and of course, talking about e-business reconciliation too, the advent of e-products, e-payments, e-transactions, and then the rest. This guy is a veteran. That's not to say that we're discussing banks. Of course, what we are discussing goes beyond bank reconciliation, goes beyond reconciliation in the financial institutions, also includes all other industries. But these are people that have seen a lot. I won't say seen it all, but they've seen very much, seen a lot in the industry. This is Tayo Akeju, and then, of course, currently he's a scholar at University of Northampton. And we are very, very opportune to have Tayo Akeju on this particular program today. Tayo Akeju, want to say hi to the audience?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be part of this very productive discussion. I'm looking forward to taking as many views from different spheres of life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let me just say, as we start, please make use of the chat, send in your questions. As we go by, I will see how much time we can allocate to address some of your questions. And if we are not able to do that, please don't take that against us. We'll reach out to you. Just let us have your contact, and then we'll be able to do the needed. Thank you very much on that. I also want to let you know that I have around my Chief Technology Officer is also around here, Sheyi Oshipalujo, to give support to the discussants, and Dr. Yele Okereme will soon join us too. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's start straight away. We have 4 basic categories of items that we want to discuss quickly. I will try to manage our time. First, I'm going to be looking at first, chart of account. Okay, chart of account. As it relates to new products, existing products, as it relates to mapping, accounts, internal accounts, or one-to-one, or one-to-many, or many-to-many accounts, or many-to-one, or one-to-many accounts. So chart of accounts as they relate to multi-currency transactions, chart of accounts as they relate to type of accounts you are reconciling. And to kickstart in 4 minutes would be Mr. Olanrewaju. Please, Lawrence, can you please let us have your thoughts on this particular one? First thing first, chart of accounts. How much work do we really need to do on our chart of accounts for us to be rest assured that we are fully prepared to go on automation of reconciliation systems? Lawrence, over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I want to look at the chart of accounts and its importance in the reconciliation process. Chart of accounts, defining chart of accounts forms the bedrock for reconciliation. Either you are looking at new products or you are looking at a product that you want to adjust at one point or the other. As Philip has actually said, there are different types of reconciliation that we have depending on the data source that we are looking at. We have one-to-one, one internal account to one external account, in the sense that if you are reconciling your internal account with a single data source from an external source, then you can have one internal account to multiple external accounts. If your data source from external source is more than one, so you need to map those source onto your internal accounts. We have multiple internal accounts to one external account, in that when your in-house internal source is coming from more than one account, and you have to map it with a single source, a single data source from external source. Then you have multiple accounts to multiple internal accounts to multiple external accounts, in that when your reconciliation involves having data from multiple internal accounts, maybe you have account 1, account 2, account 3 on a single product, and actually you have multiple external sources also that you are reconciling. So the way you define the way you do your account mapping is determines whether you are going to be successful or you are not going to be successful in the reconciliation process. Because it's like building a house. You have to lay your foundation properly. So when you do your account mapping correctly, let's say you are talking of reconciling an asset account, you are aware of what you are expecting, and you know that if data from a source actually did not come in, definitely is going to affect your reconciliation. So when you want to set up your reconciliation process, the first thing to do is to do a proper chart of accounts. Then after you have done the product mapping, when you have a new product, you have to know the type of related products that actually goes into the reconciliation process. For example, if like a bank, you want to look at reconciling your e-banking transaction. Let's say you are looking at your settlement source. You need to know, okay, where am I having my data source from? Internally, I have 1, 2, 3 accounts, and externally, I have only one report coming in. That means that I have to aggregate what I have in the 3 internal accounts to actually speak to the external data that I'm having. And you must be sure that in the process of doing this, the mapping is very, very correct. Because if that is not done, it is most likely you'll be having a lot of unmatched items. The purpose of reconciliation is that you want to match out items that have actually been cleared, so that you will have a very high percentage of matched items. Because the higher the percentage of matched item that you have, the higher your reconciliation result, so that you have little or no unmatched items, which are often called orphans. That is, those that will not be matched. That you want to reduce it as much as possible, so that you have a concise size of your data to look at manually and eventually resolve. So in account mapping, the account mapping may be currency by currency. For example, you want to reconcile accounts that's in Naira, those that that are in USD, those that are in euro. You must do the currency account mapping also accurately, so that in the course of your reconciliation, you are speaking to the same data. For example, if you map a USD account mistakenly onto a Naira account, you will see that when you're having about let me say a figure of 100 million on the Naira side, you are eventually having like 10,000 USD on dollar side, and you want to match amount. It's not going to match off, because there has been a fundamental error committed in the account mapping. Then the type of transaction must be properly delineated. If you're looking at asset accounts, you want to compare the responding leg onto the initiating leg. So if these are not done properly, you are not going to have the expected results. So the success or otherwise of a reconciliation process depends on how well you lay the foundation, and the first stone to be placed in the foundation is your chart of accounts, which must be done properly. Thank you.
Properly. Okay. Thank you very much. I have some clarifications to make, but before then, Tayo, please. I want to chip in something in 2 minutes.
Okay. It's one of the things I will want to add is to say that the chart of accounts gives you an opportunity to have an overview or an umbrella view of all the accounts that are in use in any financial institution or business organization. For as long as you're in the business of financial transactions, you need to be on top of your chart of accounts to know all the accounts that are involved. And it will also allow you to know the peculiarities of all the accounts that you have. You'll be able to know that your reconciliation process is not going to be a one-size-fits. You are going to know that you have accounts that are meant to be dealt this way. You know, accounts that are meant to be dealt the other way. Like, as much as possible, I'll try to make my analogy not to be restricted to the banking balance. So, but I would want to mention the banking balance as an introduction to say you are dealing with foreign transactions. You know the peculiarity of foreign transactions. You're dealing with e-business transactions. You know the peculiarity. If you are dealing with just mere internal ledger, you know that there is no external dependency. You know that your data is just strictly internal records. So all this understanding is very important when you have your chart of accounts. It also helps us not to have any surprises, because when you have your chart of accounts, you are able to tell that yes, this assurance, because reconciliation is more or less an assurance function, and that assurance function is to tell you that yes, I'm adequately covered. If you don't have your chart of accounts, you could be unpleasantly surprised that you've not covered what you are meant to cover. So basically, I would just that the chart of accounts is the bedrock and is very critical to any reconciliation process. I think I want to.
Yes, thank you very much, Tayo. And then I also want to actually put in this. Will I be wrong? Will I be wrong if I will posit that as much as possible, you want to make your account mapping one-to-one, as much as possible for ease of reconciliation, especially your internal, accounts, as much as possible? Will I be right if I say that? Except for situation whereby you have some supplementary sources. What I meant is that, yes, of course, you have a particular external record, which is also one-to-one, but for you to get more comprehensive details about some transactions, you need to refer to some other files, external files, to corroborate, to ease investigation about transactions. So you also want to bring that to bear. So that is also lending credence and resulting to richness of transaction. But as much as possible, basically, I would like to write if I say that as much as possible within the ambit of the control of the banks or the organization, charts of account to reconciliation should be on one-to-one basis. Is that statement okay?
Yes, I agree with you, absolutely. When you're talking about internal records, I personally subscribe to ensuring that you have a single source of truth when you are dealing with your internal record. But when you're dealing with external records, you might not have absolute control over your external record. You could have an account that has multiple sources of external records for you to have an adequate reconciliation. It comes with its risk, but of course, I don't want to start talking about the controls.
About those risks for now. Okay. Right.
So let's just talk about the process itself. So as a way of recommendation, I recommend that the internal record should remain one source, while the external record, as the situation demands, could be more than one source. So that's
what about those that will take you up and say that yes, you don't have control over the external record? Now, why can't you also split so that your reconciliation can be seamless?
Okay. Well,
Lawrence.
Let me allow Lawrence answer that.
Okay, can I cite an example? Can I cite an example?
Please do.
In those days in CBN, sorry, Lawrence, before you call me, let me cite an example. In those days of CBN, in those days, they will have, I think many years ago, they have settlement accounts, and then they have the main accounts. So some transactions will go into another process. So the net effect on that on daily basis, you will dive into your CBN account with some other transaction on CBN. So some banks have only one account, CBN account, in their own books that contain both the normal transactions into the CBN account and details of their, settlement accounts on some business. So you have such a situation. So in your internal records, you have details, and in the external on CBN, you only have the net. And then some people advocated, oh, wow, since CBN have decided to have one monolithic account for those transactions, that it will be best, okay, you get their statement, you map it to the details on one hand, and you do another one where you map it to the details. So a lot of people, do that. So where the external record seems to assume a particular dimension, wouldn't it be wise too for you internally to tailor your own chart of accounts along that line so that your reconciliation will be seamless and headache-free? Lawrence.
Yes, this one actually comes on one of the points that we're going to consider later. That is the product knowledge.
Yeah.
So the more you understand your product, it will give you a leeway of how convenient it's going to be for you. In this type of situation, when you have the external source, and it's like forcing you to now split your internal accounts, then you will understand better. Because if you actually, it is much easier for you and for the data to be separated and go to have a better experience. There's nothing bad. What's going to happen is that you will have more reconciliation process that will be done in that case. But another one I want to chip in is the case even that if somebody now says that, come, my data source is so large, and then like banks that are having many branches with their settlement report in all the branches, and the accounts are in all the branches, but you are reconciling against a single report from the settlement from the switch company. So what we would advise in that case is that in case you have such a thing like that, what you can do as much as possible is that first consolidate in-house. That is all those transactions in the internal branches, bring them together into a single book and now reconcile from that source. So it will now be one-to-one at the case instead of being many to one. Since it's within your power, you can easily consolidate before you go ahead and do your reconciliation process.
Thank you very much, because I need to move on to another question from what you have said, and that means that for the organization, a very good way of going around that would be to have a control GL for that particular purpose, whereas those individuals' accounts will be sub-ledger, and then when you are reconciling, you'll be reconciling the control GL against the external record, and that will always take into consideration all those other factors. Because of time, we need to leave that particular one and go to some other. This is very, very extensive, and it requires a lot of understanding of products, a lot of understanding of projects, a lot of understanding on account charts, and of course, what would be the reporting requirement. for the financial controls, they are also very, very interested, in that particular instance. The second point, that issue that we want to discuss, and this, Mr. Akeju will give this a shot first, and we're talking about process. Of course, some have expressed process as series of actions or steps that you take to achieve a particular end, a particular task. So the process involved in reconciliation, how do you prepare for that? What are those things that you must take into consideration when you look at your process? Because that will be very, very crucial to actually achieving good reconciliation management. So, Mr. Akeju, what would you want to say about how should I prepare for my process? Okay, reconciliation, the coding, the transaction, the data management, the matching process, reporting, and all whatnot. How do I get prepared for my process or process?
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. In terms of the process of reconciliation process is methodical and is progressive, and it is also interdependent. So what I mean by this is that you have to follow a systematic way of reconciling, a standardized way. And the standard comes from your transaction coding. And transaction coding basically means a way of classifying financial transactions. When you classify your financial transactions, it helps you, spot errors. It makes you to be more efficient, and it makes you know what you're dealing with. So your transaction coding is very critical when you are talking about your reconciliation process, because it helps you with the process of capturing your data appropriately. A debit transaction, you are able to capture as a debit transaction. You can tell me the kind of brouhaha or confusion you would have created if a debit transaction is captured as a credit. That will obviously throw you into an imbalanced position. And the process involves capturing your data. And when you capture your data, you should also process of validating that data. Validating that data tells you that you're able to say, yes, I'm on track. Because to what end are you reconciling? And at the end of the day, your product of your reconciliation is not speaking the expected balance of an account. So that data validation is also critical. And in terms of data management, of course, every organization has to have a strict and standardized way of capturing their data at every point T. You want to take a position as at time A, you are able to say, this is my position as at time A. Your data management extends from just your internal to also your external record. Because when your external record is thrown to you, you should also have a second level check to be sure that the data thrown to you by the external source is also correct. The method of checking that, yes, this data you're getting from an external source is also correct. It's also part of the process. You do not stand to say, because it comes from the external record, it's not your beat. Because, of course, there are times where even the reports that come from the external sources are incorrect. So if you don't build the process, validating the data,
Okay, Tayo, sorry, to break in now. Let me just allow you to make a clarification, because talking about data management, how do you prepare for a cutoff time that is different from your own internal record? There are products that the settlement time is during the day, and then yours is at the end of the day. How do you strike a balance? How do you take what you should take? Do you take your own internal record as at the end of the next day, or you take it as at the end of last day? How do you reconcile that? Where the external record is not out of alignment of end of the day. How do you do that? Please, I want you to address that through in your data management before you go to some other point.
Okay, thank you. Basically, for data management, and in terms of taking cutoffs for transactions, the organization, there is no add or fast through to it, and the organization has to decide on the standard to follow. If you, let's say you run your position daily, a typical financial organization, financial service driven organization will run their
Yes, sir.
end of day position daily. And you can
Yes.
take your end of day position as your own source of truth. For example, let's say
Yes.
the organization is taking a position as at 10 p.m., but
Yes.
your external record is going to be, let's
Yeah.
say, 11:59.59 p.m. Of course,
Whatever.
there's
Yes.
so you know that there's a lacuna.
Yes.
But of course, because you are
Yeah.
reconciling to ensure that the data you are validating from the external source aligns with
Yes.
what is provided, you have to stick to
Yes.
the cutoff time of the external source, right? But
Yes.
that knowledge that, yes, there are some open items that will be speaking to the next day's transaction
Yes.
as it relates to your internal record is critical. So for somebody who does not have that understanding, you will see quite a
Yes.
number of things. So it means that after your reconciliation process, you are also
Yes.
supposed to do some extra checks to validate, yes, the remaining transactions are speaking to the
Yeah.
next day's transaction. Otherwise,
Okay.
you are going to create a time lag in spotting the
Yes.
true exceptions. So you need to,
Okay.
what I call some value added efforts in reconciliation. You have to undertake some
Okay.
value added efforts in reconciliation to spot those items
right.
that are speaking to, I call them borderline transactions. Transactions that extend beyond your own cutoff time.
Oh, cutoff. Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay, so then talking about your ability to, the process is also favored to be automated. We are in the age where nobody wants to be doing pen and paper reconciliation, or you
Yes.
want to be relying on Excel, or you want to rely on other funny ways of reconciling. So it means that you have to come up with some automated ways of reconciling those accounts. Now, because you
Okay.
have different sources, you have internal and external sources, there's a
Yes.
need for you to build an interface that would allow you be able to capture your data in a seamless
Yes.
manner.
Yes.
And that interface, be it your internal record or your external record, has to be automated. Because the reconciliation function has to be done in a way that you do not spend so much time
Yeah.
in the effort of reconciling. Because
Yes.
if the effort of reconciling is so laborious and time consuming, then the whole effort or the whole essence of reconciliation is defeated. Because that reconciliation has to be timely and it has to be accurate. And that's why I'm talking about data validation, because whatever you're doing, you do not want to be said to say your reconciliation is incorrect. So the interface definition has to be proper and has to be automated. And it has to be seamlessly, yes, it has to be seamlessly integrated to whatever reconciliation platform that the organization is using. All right. And the process also involves automatic matching. And matching automatically means that there are certain things that has to be done for automatic matching to happen. One, to ensure that you are able to set your reconciliation keywords or your matching rule. In setting your matching rule, it means that you also have to understand the workings of the account you are reconciling. As much as possible, I favor that you don't have too many keywords. But as the dictate of the account demands, you might have as many as possible. But the appropriateness of those keywords also has to be taken into consideration. And that takes me to the review of matching rules. When you are reviewing your matching rules, you have to be able to understand the architectural network of your accounts to be able to spot new trends. You could have accounts. We are in the age where you could have an organization that is not carrying you along as much as possible with new products. But as a reconciliation personnel, you should be able to also review your keywords. That will enable you know that some matching rules might no longer be necessary when you see that certain categories of matching rules have been set ages ago, but are no longer, they are no longer featuring in the activity of that account. But rather, you're seeing new sets And that is causing you not to have as much desired automated results. So it means that you have to review your reconciliation keyword to ensure that auto matching is done. In addition, the process it also has to go to the point of reporting. And reporting means that you have to identify the strategic business units you have to send your output to. And the reporting, it should not even end in reporting. It should also move to some value-added reconciliation. Value-added reconciliation comes to the point where you are able to analyze trends. You are able to come up with advisories. You are also able to, monitor behavior within an organization. So, I think I want to end there. Make it a more interactive discussion.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Lawrence, want to chip in something in 2 minutes because I need to manage time. I know this is very explosive. Okay. First things first. Okay. Okay. Lawrence, 2 minutes.
Yes. Thank you very much. I've listened to Tayo has said a lot on that. So one. As actually said, that in every technology or whatever we do, it is not a robot that is actually monitoring and doing the reconciliation. So the human factor will actually come in. So when you are doing your coding, as he has actually said, you must know, because there are some factors that are within your control, while some are outside your control. You may not have too much influence or power over the external data that you are receiving, but as much as possible, you have power. I mean, you can influence your internal data. So sometimes, as time goes on, you may need to review, as I said, what has changed in the external data that you are receiving, so that you come in-house and implement same, so that you don't begin to now have a long list of orphans in your reconciliation report. And you know that reporting is useful when it is accurate and timely. A report may not be may be very, very accurate. If it is not timely, it has lost its usefulness. So you want to have it within time, and you want to have an accurate report. You will review your matching item, matching criteria time to time, and ensure that you are updating with what you are having in the external data. And where you can influence the external data, you should make concerted. The external party, you should make concerted effort. In some cases, you may need to even have meeting with your
Lawrence, can you make it short?
So in some, I'm rounding up. So you may need to even have meeting with your counterparty, so that you can have a standard data that can give you a good result. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All what you say is that yes, your processes must prepare for all that. Right? You want to draw out the list. I'm very sure it will be endless and continuous too. Okay, thank you very much. Quickly, within the next 7 minutes, this one I want to also make it very, very short, because the fourth issue I really want us to discuss more on people. That's the third issue. Our people have talked about how do you plan to have the right people to do your reconciliation? How do you plan for professionalism in the people handling your reconciliation? How do you plan to ensure that they have business knowledge? How do you plan to ensure that these people actually understand the mission and vision of the corporate entity? How do you practice rotation, training people, sustainability within the reconciliation system, so that the system is actually able to train new hands that will be versatile and reliable to handle reconciliation functions within that department. So talking about preparation for human resources, how do you go about it? Okay, Mr. Lariwaju, over to you in 4 minutes.
What we are saying is that in the course of reconciliation, the place that the parts that human beings play can still not be underestimated. Because if we are looking at technology, good. We talk of matching criteria, we talk of understanding the product and the rule and so on. But you still need the people that are going to look at that reconciliation. So I will now say that the major thing that should be done in this perspective is to have the end in mind from the beginning, so that when you know what you want to achieve with your reconciliation process, it will make you to know, okay, what type of knowledge I need here.
Yeah.
What type of personnel do I need to put in place? So somebody once said, he said reconciliation, he said, is it not matching debit and credit? And he said, even a primary student can do that. I laughed because reconciliation these days has become a very, very key issue, because with the advent of automation, we now have a large volume of transaction. If you have been doing your reconciliation, let's say you have about 2,000 data and you're reconciling manually. If that 2,000 now, if business grow, as every organization always pray for, that the business will grow. If you now have 2 million data, can you go ahead to do manual matching? Obviously, it is not possible. So as you're planning for the growth, you want to know what type of knowledge do I want to be handling this reconciliation process. When you put the right, when you put a square peg in a square hole, you will have a good, a seamless reconciliation. That boils down now to the product knowledge. What type, who has the knowledge? You believe with me that the person that is reconciling settlement accounts in banks may not be able to reconcile maybe trade or treasury accounts, because the knowledge requirement of this product differ. So when you are reconciling an account, you want to know who is the person that has the knowledge of this product, as this one is going to rub off on the account on your account mapping. It's going to rub off on your coding, and it will even affect your data management. So you must put the right person on the right table when it's come to reconciliation. Now, what type of reports do you want to get at the end of the day? That comes to the corporate objectives. What am I looking for in my reconciliation? Am I looking for, is it volume, who should receive what? Okay, now I want to see that, okay, after one day, this report should go to the head of the unit. After 1 week, it should go to the next supervisor. After 1 month, it should go to the managing director. So you have the corporate objective in place that will guide your choosing the people that you need that can meet this criteria. Then someone once told me that he said a masquerade that that children does not take part in worshiping. It will soon go to extinction. So you want to talk of job rotation. That okay, if this person leaves, what happened? So that you don't have a gap in the case one person leaves or one person is on vacation and one person is ill. So you want to make room for job rotation, replacement, backup in the course of your reconciliation. So you prepare people adequately so that you can satisfy every cadre needed in your reconciliation process. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Tayo, just a minute. Want to chip in something?
Yes. Basically, in addition, he has mentioned the job rotation, and job rotation basically helps to ensure that there is no key man risk within a particular organization or a particular department that is handling the reconciliation function. So, as you should ensure that whatever process you have laid out, you don't saddle it with just one person. As much as possible, ensure that everybody knows what the other person is doing. So it won't be a case of, I'm not trying to preach a case of jack of all trades, master of none. It should be master of all. as far as the reconciliation function is concerned.
It's concerned.
In that way, you are able to effectively ensure that there is job rotation, which would rub off the work-life balance within the reconciliation team. Because if you create a human risk, it will also, give birth to another problem, which is adequate work-life balance. It means that because one man that knows that is the only one that can do this particular function, you see that the person is not going on leave. And when somebody is not going on leave, it's a red flag. It is a red flag because I can't have you work with me and you don't go on leave. What are you suppressing? Because if the person knows that is the Lord and Master of a particular process, he can also circumvent the process. So,
an opportunity.
As much as possible, I just want to hammer on job rotation as one of the controls that has to be put in place when managing people that are saddled with the reconciliation function.
Thank you very much. I will go straight to the last point, and that is on technology. This is open now. How do you plan for technology application? How do you plan for it that will take care of the chart of accounts or process, people concerned? How do you plan for it? This is very much open now. Automation. Okay, I can hear you, please. Let's make it 3 minutes because we have a lot to discuss here.
Of course, sure.
How do you prepare for automation?
Now, preparing for automation of the reconciliation process is going to span through everything we've discussed so far, from the chart of accounts to the process itself, and even to managing the people. All right. So you need to be able to have an application that would help you make your life easy. In the days of we are in the techie world where nobody wants to do wants to go through the laborious process of reconciling an account. So as much as possible, simplify the process. On the process of capturing your data, it has to be automated. Nobody wants to do this manual. That will take a lot of your time. From your capturing of data to your ability to ensure that there is proper trail of what anybody is doing. If somebody is reconciling today, I want to ensure that I want to review and say, I need the trail of the matching this person has done. I need to have an intelligent application that shows me what the person has done. It shouldn't just take the output and I take it as it is. I should be able to have, like we have on Clarec, which is a product of PFS.
Like it's working papers, right?
And you should be able to have, those reports that tells you, okay, yes, this person is matching this. And you're able to check the integrity of the matching that is being done, right? That speaks to the chart of accounts and the process of matching. You should have a system that is intelligent enough to even to the point of report generation. Report generation should not be what you need now. You could be in a very regulated sector, be it manufacturing, be it banking, be it whatever. And let's say the regulatory body comes 2 years down the line to say, produce me the position of XYZ account as at XYZ. If you are doing the paper filing, you could run into an issue where you are not able to produce. But when you have an application that is able to, you are able to retrieve data effortlessly, getting to whatever time. So, for example, the Clarec application has working months dating to various. So, if you call me today that you need the reconciliation of XYZ as at XYZ end of the month of whatever year, I'm able to quickly plug into my application and produce it for you. I don't have to sweat, right? It goes to data repository. That is data repository. You are able to say, yes, whatever you need at any time, I'll give it to you. And I don't have to sweat. You also have to ensure that whatever application or whatever technology you are using, you are able to do some role play or role matrix definition to ensure that whoever wants to do what has appropriate rights and do not have beyond the rights they are supposed to have, right?
Good segregation of duties, right?
Yeah, that ensures segregation of duty. All right. So when you have that, you are able to, have a more efficient reconciliation system that would be able to ensure that you have the expected end. So technology plays a critical role. As a way of concluding, we've gotten to the age where you see people come to say, "Oh, you want to do a robotic process." Robotic process can be said to be good. However, it also comes with its own downsides. The downsides of the robotic process is that a robotic process is oftentimes hard-coded, and it may respond to changing demands or dictates of the business. So when you robotize your process and you have a technology-driven process that is able to respond appropriately to changing business demands, you will see that you would have invested so much in that process, and you may end up dumping it because the cost of effecting some changes might even outweigh the cost with which you initially purchased that initiative. So it's important to have a scalable technology that helps you to respond to changing business needs. So talking about technology, I think I've been able to touch on different aspects, from the people to the process and even the even the accounts.
Yes, thank you, Tayo. Lawrence, you want to put in some
talk about this?
Okay. This is really extensive, actually. I would say that it's a blanket topic, this particular subtopic. Lawrence, in 2 minutes, because I still want to give Sheyi some 2 minutes to chip in one or two things. And I also have some information to also give. Okay, Lawrence, in 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much.
But please, before you go, please let me remind our audience that you can post your questions so that we go through them too. Thank you. Lawrence, please go ahead.
As we know, the world is tending towards technology on every area. You cannot match manual with technology. So obviously, the place of technology in reconciliation cannot be underestimated, actually. So the modern world, in both in the industrial and the service sector, is fully industrialized these days. And if the operators are now matching manual with technology, they will not be able to meet up, actually. So every organization, I would say, needs technology in reconciliation. As that one, because it is the one that can actually combine and harness the three aspects that we have spoken, both chart of accounts and the people and both chart of accounts and the people and the reconciliation process itself. It is technology that can do that. And as I would say, every reconciliation app must be, apart from being efficient, it must be scalable. That is, you want to be able to define certain action. It does not take you time. And as you have seen in Clarec, this has been achieved to a very, very high level, that you can define the type of report you want. You can define you can easily define the frequency. You can define the recipient and so on. That is what a modern app of reconciliation actually requires. So with the right people in place, with a properly drawn chart of accounts, and a good process that have been modernized or modified to suit the purpose. Using Clarec in reconciliation is a very good option, as that will be able to make the organization achieve the purpose that you want to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence. Before I bring in Sheyi, I need to also state that for automation of accounts function, you can actually take it off with spice it up with some functions like artificial intelligence. You can achieve that. It is practicable and it is actually in the market right now. So what does that mean? You've set up your routes, you've set up your matching routes, your system, your automation is actually able to get your internal data, is able to get your external data, bring it to itself, to trigger the process at a particular given time schedule, and then does the matching and send some standard reports to your profile, waiting for you the next day. that is achievable and that is actually ongoing. So you as human being will come in, you review the exceptions, you need some modifications, and then before you do your final stuff. So that is actually part of the reconciliation process, and it's the height of automation that you can actually achieve or attain when you're talking about automating the reconciliation process. And Sheyi, I want to give you 2 minutes, I want to chip in some other things, and I also have some industry feedback that I would like to share with the audience. Just immediately after Sheyi will have put in 1 or 2 things. Sheyi, over to you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Well, I think Tayo and Lawrence have really dealt extensively well with all the topics, including what I would have considered my own area, which is technology. They have so much dealt with it that I was like, probably they were really reading off my script. But what I would just add, just as both of them also mentioned in their various presentations, is that technology also gives what you call predictability and consistency, and it also eliminates what called subjectivity, which indirectly speaks to the quality of the reports or reconciliation reports you get at the end of the day. You can imagine having someone or a group of people to sit down and begin to reconcile an account that has, just like Tayo mentioned earlier, 2 million transactions in a month. You might as well just kill those people, or alternatively, agree that you have also signed away your right to question whatever report they present to you. Because you can be sure it will be full of errors, and you lack whatever moral right to question it. That is where technology and automation comes in. Automation simply, as defined, means teaching a system to perform a defined process once, and after that, it should be able to repeatedly do it on a consistent basis. So you can be sure that whatever you have taught the technology or the system once can be performed repeatedly, and that removes fatigue, that removes drudgery, that removes error. And also, indirectly, it also allows immediate detections of non-compliance and fraud. You don't want a business that has run for about 6 months or a year, only to realize that you've been leaking and losing money from day one, only to discover that 1 year down the line. And to make matters worse, the perpetrator might even have left your business. So you've lost money and you can't even gain access to the perpetrators. But with technology, you can detect even the next day, since you reconcile on a daily basis, as Tayo mentioned earlier. Technology allows you to be able to achieve that. You can immediately detect non-compliance, you can immediately detect fraud, and then begin to ask appropriate questions to be able to plug such leakages and ensure that those frauds do not continue. But that will be all I will be able to say now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheyi, and thank you very much. Just in a minute, I also want to add this as some of, just in addition to all what we have said, from feedback over the years. We also know that part of what automation will give you, it is that it will save you some stationery, because you don't need to do any hard printing copies. You just have to get the reports available online, real time. Okay, it gives you the opportunity to change the frequency of your reconciliation. Some people will want to reconcile on a monthly basis, so you don't need to do that. When you automate, you can do your reconciliation on daily basis. In fact, even on hourly basis. So automation will allow you to change the frequency, and that means that if the window for fraud or errors and omissions are very, very close, that means that the risk of having errors or errors of omission or commission is greatly reduced. You can have that. And then I also want to add that automation will allow you to have much more control over the reconciliation process, as we have said the other time, on segregation of duty, supervision too. If it's not automated, you are simply a deliver, you cannot supervise, you only review the output, and you are not in control of the process. So you are not able to do that. Then, of course, it makes your investigation very, very easy, because you have so much activities that you have incorporated into your reconciliation process. So your investigation is also very tight and it's open, well documented, and well circulated. Okay, you can opt that. Of course, somebody has mentioned archives and the repository the other time. Then you also have reliability. You have a system that you can rely on. So no individual can hold the institution or the organization to ransom. And then, of course, you have a paradigm shift, a new way of doing things that give you a leverage to also move to a higher level of automation. Very, very important. And can have a wonderful career for the people doing the reconciliation. So you can cover as many of your reconciliation accounts. You don't need to say that these accounts are essential. Let me zero in on them. I will leave the non-essential ones. No, you don't need to do that. When you automated, the slightest, the lowest risky accounts are actually brought to bear on your reconciliation, platform. And of course, needless to also mention that will give the management a lot of opportunities to rely on analyticals on your reconciliation systems, your graphs, your analysis over the years, over the period, and then the rest. So management is much more reliable, giving you going beyond the conventional reconciliation report. At this point, I want to say thank you very much to our team of discussants. Tayo Akeju, thank you very much. Lawrence Olaniwaju, thank you very much. And CTO Sheyi, thank you very much. Greetings from the MD2 and from my humble self to Philip Ayeni, the Deputy Managing Director. I want to say thank you very much to everyone. Please, you can still send in your questions to us. You can visit our website, www.dpfs.biz. I will welcome you. We would love to welcome you anytime. And please give us a call. I will be glad to attend to you. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next month. Thanks, and God bless.